Donald Trump looked and sounded like he had a stroke on stage tonight. I'm not even exaggerating when I say that the sounds that he made, the words he tried to say, the flailing actions, the demonstrations he gave on stage show me none other than this. He is collapsing, and he collapsed. And at no other place than the McDonald's World Impact Summit. Yes, Donald Trump's favorite place in the world sponsored the biggest implosion of his life. And the crowd, they tried to laugh, but he stroked out so badly that they were left silent. We are going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this stroke out, and I promise you, if you watch through one video today, make it this one. We have to start with how Donald Trump did, bragging while saying that he doesn't brag.
Government jobs were going up, real jobs were going down. So you would have had that catastrophe, and on top of it, instead of 20 trillion coming in, you would have had 10 trillion leaving our country. In other words, you would have had a catastrophe. You probably would have had a bankrupt country. You are so damn lucky that I won that election. I'm telling you. It's actually true. I hope the press covers that. Sometimes he got up and he ranted and raved and bragged. I don't brag. I just give you the facts. It's true.
I do not know who besides a select group of billionaires and the Trump family has actually benefited from this presidency, but going to an impact summit in which Trump, by the way, was supposed to be talking about affordability. That was supposed to be the theme of this speech. And demanding praise for making life more unaffordable for everyone in America, and then saying you don't brag is certainly a choice to start this, once again putting it in quotes, speech, because this was the biggest meltdown I have ever seen in my entire life. And again, Donald Trump tried to keep it on affordability through the beginning. It didn't work, but this is what he said about prices.
Because we are doing better than we've ever done as a country. Prices are coming down and all of that stuff.
The man couldn't be bothered with doing the job he said he was going to do on the campaign trail. Prices and whatever, people are starving, I don't know, like all that stuff, it's fine. The stuff, what people need to eat, people need housing, people getting kicked off their health care to the tune of 50,000 unnecessary deaths a year because Donald Trump needed a bigger tax cut so people could be trillionaires. That other stuff. All that other stuff. He literally doesn't care. And he made a joke of how much he didn't care. And this is still through the coherent part of the speech that I want to get through before the stroke out. But he started talking about people's wages, and this is when Trump really started laying it on thick.
You're going to have to fight. We were talking about California, Gavin Newsom from California. And I knew he's laying siege on the minimum wage. And you people probably know, because that's a very complex subject, and you people probably know better than anybody the impact one way or the other, good or bad. And you're going to let your local congressmen, your senators know about it. But in 9 months, we've lifted.
So in a room full of some of the wealthiest people in the country, Donald Trump decides that he is going to make sure that they all feel comfortable by talking about how he and Republicans in Congress will fight back against a minimum wage increase. Again, this speech is supposed to be about affordability. It is supposed to be about people's lives getting better under the Trump administration, which I can't even say without laughing because it is such a comical concept. But Donald Trump, in this speech, strayed so far. I can't even believe that it has gotten to this point, but I guess I should. But before we get into the real stroke out, listen to what he said about who isn't laughing at us anymore.
It's incredible what's taken place in our country. The world was laughing at us like we were stupid people. They're not laughing anymore. They don't laugh at us anymore. They respect us now again, and that's what we want. We want to be liked. We want to be respected, much more so than being liked. And in a certain way, they like us better now, too. They respect us, but they like us better now because the world was ripping off our country.
Okay, so I think I've teed this up. Donald Trump went to this speech to talk about affordability, said that everyone should thank him, and says the world does not laugh at us anymore. And then what did he do after that? had the biggest meltdown of his life. You will agree with me when you see this clip. I think he had a stroke on stage. Just take a look.
They saw one of the things. They saw a lot of unbelievable activity going on at the McDonald's next to the base where they take off. The McDonald's was doing 5 times. They were going crazy. So they say, there's something going on over there. The biggest activity that McDonald's had ever had. And it was a nice story, how well it's doing. But that was not a good story for us. So I canceled it and then I announced we're canceling it. And the pilots said they were devastated. Then I put it back in the exact same time because that was the only time they weren't thinking would happen.
Did you understand anything of what he just said? Because I couldn't pick up on a word, on a phrase, on a direction, on anything. I know that we talked about the weave. Oh, you got to do the weave. But what was he weaving towards? What is he saying? He said it's 5 times in the people, and then we went, and then they loved, and then they didn't. But he doesn't know what he's saying. And he acknowledges it as the stroke continued.
You know what? They went to sugar. Isn't that nice? I said, you got to go to sugar. Just like I said, why is the Gulf of Mexico called the Gulf of Mexico? I said, we're changing the name. And now it's the Gulf of America. It has nothing to do with McDonald's, but maybe it does. Because it's very nice cycle. We have 92% of the shoreline. They have 8%. I wouldn't say I made a lot of friends in Mexico, but they still like me.
What in the world is the pivot from cane sugar in Coca-Cola to the Gulf of Mexico? He's just like throwing stuff out at this point. He's like, well, quite frankly, I don't know what the connection is, but I don't care because my brain is goop. Do you see it running out of my ear? Like it literally doesn't make sense. And I know I'm just like freaking out at this point, but I don't know how you could watch this. Realize and remember, this guy has the nuclear codes and feel comfortable. We shouldn't. We need to be hair on fire about this because Trump one day is talking about the great MRI that he got and all of the brain scans that the doctors did, and they gave him a lollipop, and so he wasn't really paying attention to what they said, but apparently it was the greatest thing in the world. As again, look, the pudding is leaking out of his brain again. And then Donald Trump decided, okay, we'll move on from the verbal portion of the meltdown, and then we'll go to the demonstrations with the physical. He's going to do some physical comedy for us. But please, it does not stop. You have to see this.
And then they said skedaddle, the word skedaddle. And that plane went psh, like this. You know, when it drops a bomb, it goes down very steeply because that gives it a better angle and, you know, more speed for the bomb. Very, very heavy bombs. And they go boom. And as soon as those things, the one pilot, the first one said, skedaddle. And that thing just turned in its side. And it's so unbelievable. And that knocked out Iran nuclear capability. And all of the Middle East became a different place. And now we have peace.
Did we need a demo? Were we in dire need of the demonstration from Donald Trump? Of the planes and the woo and the good and the blah? His brain doesn't work. Like, y'all, like his brain doesn't work. He has always been stupid. He has always been out of control. He has always been ridiculous. But his brain doesn't work. The mainstream media has to ask more questions about this. Ask about the digital scans of the imaging done of his brain. Ask about what else happened at a 4-hour Walter Reed visit. When Donald Trump goes to get a checkup, they don't make him wait. He doesn't have to look at a magazine. They go from room to room to room to room, okay? There is no delay. If he was there for 4 hours, something must have happened. Something must be wrong. And we deserve answers. We need more transparency on really everything in this administration. Might I also point out the fact that Donald Trump clearly, after that bombing of Iran, I cannot believe we bombed Iran. Wow, what has this presidency been? It's been like 10 years. I cannot believe this. But he clearly that day learned the word skedaddle because he always brings up skedaddle. And he's like, and I never heard that. And people say, now they say skedaddle because of me. I'm great. But again, like I said, we moved from the verbal part of the speech. Now we're doing, or the lack of verbal part. Now we're doing physical comedy. Trump decided he was going to give a wrist demonstration. It just keeps getting worse.
The commercial was about, but they have the line. The people had no idea. So I made the French fries. The guy was really good. He had a great wrist. He was, sir. He was going like, sir. Yeah. It was not that easy.
I will ask this question. Was the wrist demonstration, I hate to even ask, did that have something to do with Bill Clinton? No, I'm not going to say it. Did that have something to do with Bubba? No, we don't need that. We're not going to get into that. We're not going to get into that. I don't think we need to get into that. But I think you know what I'm saying. Trump also talked about his love of big hands in this speech. I think maybe he's yearning. Maybe there's Trump and Melania really haven't. I don't even want to picture that. But maybe he's yearning for Bubba. Maybe he misses Bubba. I don't want to get into the Bubba of it all because Trump decided he was gonna take a nice little pivot in this speech and define himself as the working class hero that we all know Donald Trump is. Okay, but just take a look.
While other politicians fly around on campaign planes stocked with expensive catering, on Trump Force One, prior to ascending to Air Force One, which is quite a nice plane also, we served only McDonald's almost every time. On occasion, we couldn't find one, which is pretty hard to believe. We'd go another route. But we really did. You fed us very well, and I even got Bobby Kennedy to eat a Big Mac.
So Donald Trump, who has filled the Oval Office with gold, is now saying that he is the working class hero because he eats McDonald's. McDonald's is great. Like, I will disagree with Donald Trump on nearly everything. McDonald's is great, and I love McDonald's. You have a Qatari jet on the way. I don't think that bringing a Big Mac on board it, and a Qatari jet we're paying for, by the way, because it has to be refitted, I don't think bringing a Big Mac on board makes you any less of an asshole billionaire. I think you're still the asshole billionaire, and I think everyone recognizes you're the asshole billionaire, which is why Donald Trump is losing his followers. So all he can cling on to is himself and how much he loves the Don, but people are breaking. And Tim Miller was talking to Nicole Wallace about that. It's where I want to close. Take a look.
Because right now, I think we've tried the route of trying to bring in people that are of the kind of college-educated, suburban, former Republican, moderate McCain types. Me and you fit in that boat, Nicole. We grabbed as many of those as we could, and Donald Trump still won last time. And so in order to crack his coalition now, you need to get people that were with him the third time after the insurrection, and that's going to be a gnarlier process, okay? That's going to be a gnarlier process. We're going to have issues with all those folks, and so if she wants to say she's sorry, if she wants to speak to this, if she's representative of other people out there who feel betrayed by him, who went with him the third time, that's a good thing.
Of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene is abandoning Donald Trump. Not because she is fed up with the MAGA policies or the dirty politics, because she sees where this thing is going. I don't want to give her credit, but she does understand the base. And the base will soon be losing this declining old man. They will be leaving him behind. And we are going to soak that in as he continues to lose his mind every single day on the show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let him silence you. Until next time, I'll see you soon.